We're still following the plane crash out of North Carolina. The crash linked to multiple fatalities during an attempt to land at the Statesville Regional Airport in North Carolina. Aboard the plane was NASCAR legend Greg Biffle and his family. Considered one of NASCAR's greatest drivers, Biffle is also known for his humanitarian efforts after his career. He played a role in North Carolina's recovery efforts after Hurricane Helene devastated the state. He took to the skies in his own helicopter to rescue stranded residents. Truly a hero to these people. The National Transportation Safety Board leading the investigation, 16 experts flew out to the site of the crash yesterday, including specialists in operations, air traffic control, and meteorology. While the investigation is underway, let's check in with an expert to offer some insight into what could be going on behind the yellow tape. Kyle Bailey joins us now. He's a former FAA Safety Team Representative. Kyle, thank you for the time this afternoon. Still very early on in the investigation, but what does the FAA look for when trying to understand the possible cause of this crash?
Good afternoon, Jane. They're going to be piecing everything together like a puzzle. Now, in the case of this accident, the airplane actually took off and actually returned to the airport. So right there, it signals possibly a mechanical failure of some sort, whether it was an engine or a control surface. But the weather, I think, is secondary in this investigation as far as what could have caused the crash. I think it's mainly mechanical. The weather is a contributing factor in that they went from like 5 miles visibility down to 2.5 miles visibility. And it went from like fog and mist and a little bit of intermittent rain to more of moderate rain. So when that pilot is in that cockpit dealing with a crisis emergency situation, you pretty much, in those conditions, don't really have any kind of visual reference. So now you're kind of battling two things. You have kind of instrument flight conditions where you can't really visually see the horizon, and you have malfunctions in the airplane, and we don't know what was affected. Was the instrumentation affected? Was the instruments for the approach affected? Were the flight controls affected? So it's pretty much, they'll look at the whole picture. They'll analyze everything from air traffic control tapes, piecing the airplane back together, looking at those engine components. But I think it's safe to say we'll probably have a preliminary idea of what happened probably within a few weeks, depending on if there was any kind of cockpit voice or data recorders on board that aircraft.
A lot of information to comb through, which is why this is going to take several weeks, right? This is not something that can be turned around in 24 hours. You mentioned the weather and the visibility, how that had a, obviously the meteorology experts here are going to be looking at that, and I'm sure working in tandem with the mechanical experts to figure out how this would all come together. The NTSB leading the investigation, how do they work with the FAA on an investigation like this?
They pretty much work in tandem with them. They work as a team. Everybody pretty much has their expertise. The NTSB pretty much takes the lead. There also will be most likely experts from the aircraft manufacturer as well as the engine manufacturer of the aircraft. And I just want to point out, this airplane was built in the early 1980s. So we're looking at an airplane that's like, about 35 years old. So there's aging components on that airplane, flight control surfaces, cables, pulleys, which control the control surfaces. So there's a lot of things that could have gone wrong. And on top of that, we apparently have a text message that came out, from the wife to her mother on board the aircraft, which apparently said that they're in trouble. So there must have been problems on that airplane, obviously, before it impacted the ground.
Yeah, it's just a heartbreaking story. I mean, the
Very
heroic
sad.
efforts of Greg Biffle, especially after Helene through North Carolina, and then, to see his beautiful family now right ahead of the holidays, right? So just truly tragic. Appreciate your insight as we continue to learn more information. Former FAA Safety Team Representative Kyle Bailey, thank you.
Thank you.